Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of our talk show, Love It or Shove It. It's me, Irina Portnova, in the studio, and I'm all about manifestation. And let's make your love and relationship attraction better, easy, and with the flow. And my co host, Bruno Gill, cannot join us today. So I just wanted to say that. We are still going to have the powerful show. And today I have my dear guest, Murween Rose. Hello, Murween, and it's such a pleasure to have you with us. Murween, just say a couple of words about yourself and what you are doing.
Thank you, Irina, for having me. I am happy to be here. So, I am a clinical mental health counselor by profession and a relationship coach.
Mhm.
I am in counseling for over 16 years, and I'm very happy to be on your show today.
Awesome. Yay. It's pleasure to have you here. And today we have a very important topic, which is navigating mental health together.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit more, right? Because a lot of times we are so busy that we are not giving ourselves enough time for our mental health. And
Yes.
let's just bring this subject and shed some light. Why is it important?
It is important because you see, mental health has to do with our cognitive, our emotional, and our social well being. And for all of those to be taken care of, we have to get in touch with ourselves
Mm-hmm.
because it influences how we think, how we feel, and how we act in our daily lives. And
Mm-hmm.
so, mental health also helps us to angle stress, and it helps us to make different choices. And so when we take care of ourselves, then our emotional aspect of life will be on the right part. Our
Mm-hmm.
emotional and our mental and our physical and our connective. So it's like an
Mm-hmm.
holistic approach. All of
Mm-hmm.
us will be taken care of, but it is important to pay attention to the whole self. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I love it. That's awesome. So for somebody who doesn't like really pay attention, right, to that mental health, what if we are not at our best mental health? What are the things that we can experience? Like, what is something, let's say the person says, okay, you know what, Maureen, I kind of hear what you're saying, but can you just kind of break it down into the steps? Like, what is something for me to start from?
So the thing is, if you're not taking care of your mental health, then you can have burnt out. You
Mm-hmm.
can be fatigued. You will be dealing with stress in a way that you're not balancing your life at all. So when you're not taking care of the self peace, what will happen is that you're not able to manage the other areas of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to find that you're walking on eggshell. You're going to find that you're tired. You may even go into some mood of
Mhm.
depression episode because you're not able to navigate life in a positive way, in a healthy way. So you will have burnt out, you may be fatigued, you may be depressed, and then there is several other stress related issues that can come your way if that piece is not taken care of. So it's very, very important to manage your mental health the best way. And then there comes a time then you may have to even seek professional help as well if it goes beyond what you're able to manage. So it's important that you take care of yourself by the way you eat, have enough sleep, how you engage with others, how you manage just your everyday, day to day lifestyle.
Mhm. So let's say if somebody is like, stressed out at work and then they come back, and if they are in a relationship, whether they're just living with the partner or maybe they are married, what are the tips to like really manage, right? Because again, um, any kind of stress from any area of our life can reflect our relationships and our connections. How can we navigate it better?
So one of the things that I will mention of is that when you take care of your emotional well-being, it is one of the way that is it's a very crucial thing to maintain all areas of your life, but especially your mental health and your relationship. So I normally provide like some practical tools. I talk about, mindfulness,
Mhm,
meditation. I talk about physical activities and any little thing you can do. If it's even 5 to 10 minutes, engage in something so that you can boost your mood and also your energy level. Then you
mhm,
also need to consider your sleep hygiene. How are you taking care of your sleep? It's important because what that does, it prioritize good sleep habits, ensure that you have enough rest so that you can recover for the next
mhm,
day. So it's very important. And then I talk about social connections because that has to do with cultivate some supportive group, have supportive relationships, build them, connect, and stay in that forum whenever it's needed. Go there for support, go there for help. And
mhm,
when it comes to like, the relationship aspect, it is very important that you talk with each other and
mhm,
allow your partner to know what you are experiencing. It is important to have those conversations because when you're going to a mental health situation and you keep it to yourself, it doesn't help you at all. What you need to do is to share with each other,
mhm,
establish common goals, talk about your values, talk about the support that you need. Be flexible in how you adapt to each other's situation, each other needs as they share it. And do not listen to shame, but
mhm,
listen to be attentive and supportive, which is so
mhm.
important in the relationship. And so, what I call it, I talk about celebrate small wins. And how you do that is when you're able to acknowledge and celebrate each other, your progress. And no matter how small it is, just celebrate. And it's a win-win situation in the long run. Thank you.
I totally love it. Hello, beautiful Dina. Good tips. Yes, totally. I love all the tips that Maureen is sharing. So, Maureen, I'm going to be playing the devil advocate just to give like the like the situations, right? um okay, I love it because you're bringing the communication on the upfront, and that's exactly where everything is starting, right? Whether this is relationship and between two people, whether this is romantic relationship, whether this is business relationship, everything starts from the relationship, right? Like even the
Yes.
relationship with ourselves. So let's say in the scenario there is a couple, and men usually are very reserved, like statistically speaking, because
Yes.
some
Yes.
people who, some men who are watching these kind of episodes are very, like aware and very awakened. So I totally salute you if you are that man who is watching, because I know you are more progress than the majority of them. But majority, right? So majority, yes, totally. Majority of the men, they're very closed, right? They are not the people who love to communicate. And especially like sometimes when a woman can sense that a man comes home and he's not himself, she would ask like, what's wrong? And usual answer is nothing, right? So how can you like really start opening up that dialogue and really get to
Yes.
the bottom of it. Because sometimes like people go through these, especially men, they go through their like emotions very silently, and then something shows up in their life, which is like, I used to work in the corporate place, and one of my coworkers have husband, brother, actually committed suicide.
I'm sorry to
Because
hear.
yes, because he was sick, he was having cancer, I guess, and he did not want to put that burden on the family with all the bills and everything else, so he committed suicide. So how do we actually prevent something drastic happen in our life? Just like opening up that door for the communication, and really start like paying attention at the signs, at the early signs.
Thank you for your question. And what you just stated, it's there are research that backs what you just say and support what you just share. How you deal with the nothing response in a relationship. What I normally share with couples or with individual is that you have to try as best as you can to show empathy.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to ask the question in a very empathetic way. And when you get the nothing, there are times when you have to give some space. How much space do you give? It all depending on what you are seeing. If it is happening more than one time, if
Mm-hmm.
it's happening several times, then there might be a concern if your partner continue to just say nothing as a response. So what I also will suggest is that patience is important, but what you can do to open that dialogue is to maybe start with some fun facts. So you find a way of getting into
Mm-hmm.
their mental capacity to respond to something that they may respond to.
Mm-hmm. I
So
love that.
if it's like a game that they love, so you don't just come right out and say, I noticed something is going wrong because each time I ask you, you say nothing. That might be
Mm-hmm.
needed, but you're going to take baby steps, especially if they are giving you the walls and they're
Mm-hmm.
blocking out the responses each time by giving you just a blank nothing. So, what you're trying to do is to open the door of communication. But how do you do that? You take your time, step by
Mm-hmm.
step. So, find out what is it your spouse love. And so if you
Mm-hmm.
know some of those things, then you try to do it. So if it's a game that he loves, if it's a TV show that he loves, if it's to go on a walk, whatever that is. And when you get him involved in that, then you take your time and you say, like, I observe that of late, XYZ. I
Mm-hmm.
notice when I ask you how you're doing, you constantly respond with the word nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And you let him or her know how that makes you feel. Share your concern. And so when you share, then you pause and allow your partner to respond. Now, I sense that, and I know for sure that you will get a little bit more than nothing if you get
Mm-hmm.
him to that level where he will open up to you. Because if he recognizes that or she recognizes that there is some genuineness about it, you're
Mm-hmm.
encouraging the open communication
Conversation.
and you're
Mm-hmm.
listening without trying to fix the problem immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So in the long run, some fixing, some help, some support will be needed. But right now, what you need to work on is to try to engage with your spouse to see if he or she will open to you. So tap into what makes that person can have some joy, have some smile. Take him or her away from the immediate concern because
Mhm.
the key factor here is that you want the person to open. And you never know, just through that medium, he or she might start to share what is going on. And
Mhm.
then you take it from there and you get the help that is needed. And there's something else I want to touch on, that you talk about, seeing the signs. Now, like I talk about what mental health looks like earlier, is that mental peace is how you act, is how we behave, is all about, it's the whole of us, how we deal with things in our daily life. It's about how we feel, how we think, all of that. Now, you can identify the signs if you recognize that your spouse is a little off with how they're dealing with daily life issues. So they're not following the goals that you set in your relationship anymore. They're not interested in taking a bath the way they used to. They are not following up with the appointments that they used to. If you see some things not following in the right ways as you set your goals as partner together, then you will recognize that something is not as it used to be. And then you can tap into that to ask the question, I observe that so and so. As of late, I notice this is happening or this is not happening. And the tone of voice is very important. It cannot
Mhm.
be that I notice that you're not taking a bath of late.
I love
Shouldn't
this.
be that.
Yes.
It
What's
shouldn't
wrong
be
with
that.
you?
What's wrong with you? And I am fed up and I cannot be bothered. So the
Mhm.
tone of voice is important if
Yes.
you want to help your partner and also to have the communication doors open.
Hmm. Oh my God, I
Thank
just
you.
love it. I just love it, Rose, especially the fact that was like really interesting for me. Like you said, first make them comfortable, like take them into the space that they know, that they love, that they enjoy, so they feel totally relaxed. And then little by little, just, like start bringing it up. That's amazing. I love it. Any other tips in terms of, let's say, how important it is to like really regulate our emotions during the conflicts. Let's touch that point because it actually does touch upon the mental health, right? Because it's
Yes.
easy, we are always feel triggered. It's easy just to go into the reactive mode where we just ready to just jump and yell and just show up the way that our nature is calling, but how important it is to regulate our emotions because it actually is going to improve our mental health, and obviously it's going to improve the relationship.
Thank you for your question. Now, you
Mm-hmm.
see, mental health influences our daily life, as I said before, and it does impact our relationships. Now, what happened is that when one is struggling with poor mental health, it can lead to misunderstanding. It
Hi.
can increase conflict. It can create emotional distance. And when all of that is happening, then there is a breakdown. And when there is a breakdown, then there needs to be some support system in place to address those situations. Now, when it comes to the emotional piece, if you find that that is off, it's not working as it should, and everything, there's a meltdown and there's a breakdown, then one will have to take a moment and assess the feelings, assess what is going on. And when you do that, so one of the things I would suggest and recommend is assessment. And it doesn't mean a psychological paperwork. It means that you and your spouse sitting down and having a one-to-one conversation as to what is happening. And if it's an individual thing, then you just realize that you may have to definitely start practicing some more self-care to ensure that you're taking care of your emotional well-being. And when, because here's the thing, if you're not taking care of, you can't help your spouse. You have
Absolutely.
to make an effort to take care of you first. And
Mm-hmm.
when you do that, one of the way to do that as well is to educate yourself. Learn about the areas that you're having concern about so that you can understand for yourself the emotional aspect and also what your spouse might be experienced. And then also in taking care of that emotional piece is also to establish some boundaries where you can have some me time to protect
Mm-hmm.
your own emotional peace and also to prevent burnt out, to prevent being stressed out, to
Mm-hmm.
present to sorry to prevent going down in depression because sometimes it can be hectic and you need a moment to take some deep breath and to come back to the relationship. And you can only do that when you communicate it. And so communication is a very big piece. People think
Mm-hmm.
that it's just a throw around word. No, it's a huge key element in taking care of your relationship and also your mental and emotional wellness. And so the other thing I would suggest is to be open, be honest in your communication, and
Mm-hmm.
try what works for you. I talked about earlier, maybe trying some practical tools, whatever works for you. If it's mindfulness, or if it's meditation, like for me, devotion and meditation means a lot for my self-care. So it's something that I do every day in the mornings, that early hours of the morning. You connect with yourself and the higher power. And
Mm-hmm.
also in the evenings, whether it's after work, there is that moment that I call my me time. And that's another devotional piece where I reflect. I also take my journal and I write something, what works, what I could have improved about my own life or about other issues of life. Yes, yes, Bruno. Very important, that journal piece. And while you're doing that, you're reflecting and you're taking care of the emotional piece. And then you realize that, oh, I didn't deal with this very well today. So, what is it I need to put in place so that I can improve the next time around? So, it's important to find what works for you. Create your own practical tools that works for you. And like I talk about physical activities, if that's what works for you, engage in it. And if you recognize that you're getting extremely fatigued and you may be just tired, then maybe you have to pay some attention to your sleep hygiene as well. If you find yourself isolating, then you might just need a social connection group or just a buddy if you find that that's what is happening. And then engage in some hobbies. Whatever interests you, pursue it. Something that brings you joy and satisfaction. It does help the emotional piece. Thank you.
Oh my God. I just love Marine. We have like such a powerful conversation. And welcome, Bruno. We are like, 5 minutes wrapping up everything. So, what we are talking about is just the importance of mental health for healthy connections with your partner, with your date, with your married spouse, right? And we are saying that communication is always at the core, so we all know how to communicate. Marine was sharing some great tools and tips how we can do it more engaging, and so it comes from the place of love. And also we would saying how connected that mental health is to our emotional health, and we know that when we have that mental health in place, our relationships are going to improve. You want to say a couple of words about it?
Yeah, sure. Of course, absolutely. Well, first of all, Sorry for being late. I had something to do. I had an appointment, but I'm here now. So yeah.
I understand.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you. Yeah, and so I think that like we're never going to be at 100% every single day. Either
No.
me as a man, or my partner as a woman, or if I was a woman, a man or whatever, right? And so I think that people really have to communicate. I think communication is very important.
Yes.
And say like, look, so today I can only give you 50. I really wanted to give you 100, but I can only give you 50, right? How much can you give, right?
Express.
um,
Express
I
it.
can give, right, express how much you can give, and
Yes.
there's no shame in it,
Not at all.
because there's no shame, right? And there's no
No.
shame. And if you can only give 50, well, if you can only give 50, well, then let's do our best to give the best that we can give, right? Because if your best is 50, everybody already knows that, in a couple, or if you give it to yourself or anything like that, the best of the best of the best is 100. But that's in theory. If realistically you can only give 50, well, then 50 is all you can give, and that's it. Then you rather you know give the best you can give at 50,
The best
then
50.
the
Yes.
best
Mhm.
50 you can possible,
Best
than to
50.
exaggerate
Yes.
100 when you can't, right? And then you get upset, and then you get angry when you never told it, you never said anything, you never expressed it, and you probably were like, oh, but I'm going to feel a little bit ashamed, or I'm feeling going to feel a little bit embarrassed to say that I can't give my best. No, you can give your best, just not the way that you think you can, but with what you can, give it your all, right? And
I
so that,
totally
yeah,
agree.
that helps a lot. That honestly, that definitely helps a lot. I've started doing that actually, but I
Yeah.
started doing that. I started doing that with my mother, for example. I was like, look,
Yes.
I'm very tired today. Like, I can't give you much. Like, it's fine, okay, sure, just do this and do that and stuff, right? But if I don't say anything, and then my mom doesn't know what's happening if I don't say anything, right? And then my mom is like, well, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm like, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. It's like, but you didn't say anything. And I'm like, yeah,
You see,
you
the
know,
important thing is that, Bruno, is that you express it. Earlier, Irina asked about some common signs that, mental health impacts one's relationship. And I talk
mhm,
about some of the signs, when it comes to how you can identify it. Fatigue, emotional distance, changes in communication patterns, withdrawal syndrome, the things people used to enjoy, they're not enjoying it anymore. Symptoms of anxiety, and just what you talk about, just being tired, and you're able, maybe mom didn't understand, but you were able to express that today I'm only able to give 50. I like the idea. When you show up with 50 percentage and you give it your all, it's better than 100 all over the place. So I
exactly,
totally
absolutely,
appreciate your point. Yes.
absolutely, because I truly believe it's always where you're directing your energy to, right? And so if your energy is all over the place, so will your thoughts, so will your actions. But when you're focused in one thing and one thing only, you're only going to think about, maybe solutions or things that have to do with what you're focused on, right? Because
Yes.
not only you're focused on that, you're also, your brain knows, okay, so now we're focused on this, let's help him. If he's focused on this, okay, let's help him focus on this. So let's help him only have thoughts about this, have sensations of this, feel happy or sad things about this, whatever he wants. Let's try and help him the best. But we have to direct, right? We have to
Yes.
direct ourselves to one place and one place only. And so,
I,
yeah, yes.
I agree.
Mm.
Awesome conversation. So let's just wrap it up with some kind of final tips, final thoughts, Maureen.
Okay.
Yes, let's bring you to the stage.
All right. So in closing, I want to just quickly share that it's important that we understand a little bit about our mental health. And for us to do that, it's important to also educate ourselves. We need to remove the stigma that is around a mental health. When
Mhm.
people hear the word mental health, for some persons, they think it's something to be ashamed of. And I always say to individuals, everybody have something that they're dealing with in life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everybody.
We are
Even if
breathing, so we have something.
everybody has something. It's just that you don't know what I have, and I don't know what you have unless somebody come to see a counselor or somebody come to talk with me, vice versa. So we just need to be patient with each other. And when it comes to the relationship, support your partner involves being empathetic. It involves being patient. It involves being not non-judgmental. Encourage open communication and listen, as I said earlier, listen to hear, listen not to shame or not to be ashamed or shame the individual. Also, listen not to fix the problem immediately, because these are not issues that can be fixed from the click of a finger. And in the long run, if it is beyond what you and your please reach out for professional help. The other thing I want to say is that to maintain your own mental health, it's important to practice self-care and set healthy boundaries. And as you set them, engage in activities that promote your own well-being, whether it's emotional or mental. It's important to think about what works for you. Seek support and stay as well as you can, because your mental health is all about your life, the way you live, the way you feel, and the way you act. Thank you so much.
Mic drop. Boom, boom. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Murween. And just to wrap it up, to say yes, mental health is super important. And if people never pay attention to that, we invite you to really start paying attention at that, and know that there is always help available, and reach out to Murween and see where life is getting you. But remember, it all starts from you wondering, do I want to improve something in my life, right?
That's right.
And that's where everything starts. Just be more mindful, be more aware, and really tap into the answers for your own questions. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Yay.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so much.
having me. Thank you for
Yes,
having me.
absolutely. And thanks for being with us. It was a pleasure. And
Have a great
see you,
evening.
everybody, on the next episode.